And I have two personas, right? There's the persona online, right? And that kind of bleed into a little bit of my presentation, right? There's the persona online of who we are as workers and citizens and professional people, but there's also the persona that we have in our personal life. My online persona, as far as my work persona, I'm an electrical engineer for Lockheed Martin. I'm a test engineer. And what I do, I help Lockheed test all this military equipment that we sell all over the world to the United States, to Poland, to Ukraine, all the places that we are allied with to try to build the military to defend themselves. That's my work life, that's my professional life, but there's also my personal life and how I give meaning into my life, right? That's the life we all have, and how do we wake up every day, find a reason to keep going, right? And our pain and our body and our marriages and our churches and our community, right? And that's the life that this presentation is partly from. It's about creating a story for yourself, a philosophy of life on how to keep going when life want to tell you to stop going. So let's start with that. All right. There's a short video I'm gonna play, and I hope the audio is able to come through. Okay. So do you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
All right, great. Let's continue. All right. So I wanted to share this video with you guys because I wanted to kind of frame this whole presentation. It's pretty much on the perspective on life and meaning, right? A guide to answering the big question for healing. The video, it's pretty much show you from everything we know in science, right? From the big to the small, it's trying to consolidate all that knowledge into like less than 5 minutes, right? And it's a way to ground everything we're going to talk about over these slides. So, what does that mean? That the video, it started with the woman laying on the floor, right? And it zooms out to the very big, right? To the cosmic perspective, our place in the whole universe. So that's the first portion of this presentation. It's going to go from a cosmic perspective down to a middle perspective, the middle being our everyday life, and down to a small perspective, and meaning all the things in your body. But the perspective is coming from the idea, not just your place in this universe, but also all the different ways, in a way, the universe does not want you here, but that fact should not keep you from living a meaningful life. And I will say more about that as we continue. So, from the big, right? Now, the first portion of the video is zooms out, right? The cosmos is vast. It's really, really vast. It's billions of stars, trillions of stars, right? There's more stars in the universe than there are sands on the beach. And that number is profound, right? Our brain cannot contain how big the universe is, right? And from all our scientific evidence so far, we are the only thing in this universe that is conscious, able to examine the universe, question it, and trying to find our place in it, right? So, human being, this is it. This is all we have. This is the universe have us here alone, and that is not a bad thing, right? And us realizing this little blue marble in space, our little planet Earth, is all we have. To me, it's a good thing. It's a way to ground our sense of being. Now, this is the cosmic perspective, and all the ways the universe is trying to get rid of us, right? You might ask yourself, wait, why is this man telling me and all the way the universe trying to kill me? Once we get toward the back end, it will all make sense, right? So bear with me for a few minutes. Now, one of the many ways the universe can wipe us out, one of the big ways to say, right? We have this massive ball of energy in the sky, right? Our sun. Because of our sun, we have life on planet Earth. All the plants and animals depend on our suns, right? And our sun is about 90 million miles away from us. It's really, really far, right? And if you were to get on a rocket space that was going at the speed of light, it would take you like, 8 minutes to get to our sun. That is how far away it is. It's really, really, the light from the sun, it takes 8 minutes to get to us. It's very far, it's really big, but no, we don't, mentally, you can't comprehend how big that sun is. It's really, really big, right? And that sun has a lot of energy. And it's a massive explosion in the sky. It's literally a nuclear bomb is going up on that sun every millisecond, right? It's a massive big ball of energy just consuming itself, right? One of these balls of energy, one of these massive explosion, they are solar flare. It's one of these solar flares was to reach us. It can literally wipe the planet clean, right? And these events happen in our lifetime, right? And they're really, really rare, right? And the best estimate is they happen every million years, right? One out of every million years, where one of these solar flares wipe out planets. So it's nothing that happened to planet Earth yet, but it's a possibility. Again, another way the universe can wipe us out. Another way the universe can really wipe us out is asteroids. And we know in our own history, the history of the dinosaurs on our planet got hit by a big, massive asteroid, killed the dinosaurs, and because of the dinosaurs expire, human being got to evolve and became us, right? And the likelihood of that happening is once every 10,000 years. We still get hit by small ones, but the big one that wipe out the dinosaurs, it's been a while since we got hit by one of those, and that's in our distant history if we don't do something about it. Now, the next way the universe is trying to get rid of us is more on the everyday planetary levels, right? How your life, your work, your existence, all of that is literally fighting against you being here. So that portion of that I call the middle. Now, this is something that the COVID experience really ground for us. Before COVID, I've given out this presentation before. I give it out 2016, 2018, 2019. And before COVID happened, most people did not understand what this slide meant, right? So I titled this slide Zombie, Don't Eat My Brain, right? Because all our human experience about plague and pandemic always been from these movies, whereas, we have a zombie apocalypse and these people are affected by a virus and, they are trying to eat our brain, right? But pandemic is a real thing, right? And because COVID is one of these things that happen every 50 years, but human experience, we tend to kind of forget, right? And COVID ground that for us. And COVID, most people don't know that. The COVID pandemic in America alone, it killed over 1 million people. And globally, it wiped out nearly 1% of the world population, right? It was massive. But because the way we process social media information, one information, no one really fully understand how bad the COVID was, where the death rate was high, and it's still killing people. That's another way the universe is trying to get rid of us. The other way, the fact that since World War II, when we dropped two nuclear bombs on Japan, we still have these massive stockpile of nuclear weapons, right? The last count between Russia and China and America, we have over 5,000 of them. And these things, one is enough to wipe out a city, right? And the best estimate the scientists have right now of us having a nuclear war where these bombs are dropped again is maybe it might happen at least one time over the next 100 years. The next thing that we know as a human species that we are threatened by is climate change, right? And we know, again, the planet is getting hotter. Some places it's gonna get cooler, and the all the ice cap and the North Pole and South Pole are melting because of that. It's changing the climate. That's why they call it climate change. The places that used to be hot gonna be cold. The places that used to be cold, it's gonna be hot. To summarize, we're gonna have more water in the ocean, and that water gonna reshape our existence. The coastal cities gonna get flooded. People gonna have to move. Famine gonna be a big thing. Where this is something that's gonna happen soon. It's already happening right now. We may not be fully experiencing in America, but it's happening, and it's gonna be something that happen over the next 10 to 100 years. Now, this is the really small part. When I say small, I mean the things that you're dealing with personally. Illness, just personal things. Now, I want to start with at the beginning, right? Most people don't realize how their existence is a miracle, right? Because the environment of the womb is very unfriendly to that baby. Most people don't realize the survival rate without the mother, the parent doing anything. The survival rate of most pregnancy within the first trimester, more than 50 of them just gone, right? People don't even know they're pregnant sometimes because the conceived egg does not attach. It's crazy how unwelcome the womb is for a baby. Second trimester, the death rate is greater than 30%. Third trimester, it gets more stabilized, but it's not fully safe, right? 1 out of 10 babies still die in the third trimester, right? Not counting all the post-birth, if you add the next 18 months, it's even more severe for most babies, right? A lot of babies die within the first 2 years of their life. So if you add it all up, right, the survival rate from the womb into the first 2 years of life is 3 out of 100. So you being here is a miracle, right? Because you have survived so much just to be alive, right? Now, not the fact the womb was trying to get rid of you, but that's also your own body those of us with illnesses, we deal with that every day, right? Because we know our body is not a perfect machine. This is why I call this like, limited warranty, right? We know our organs, you know, something failing, it's gonna happen, right? Everybody, even if you're healthy or not, the likelihood of you having a stroke is 1 in 10, right? You could be the most healthiest person, then boom, you have a stroke, right? Because it's not so much what you can control with your eating and your exercising, it's so much of what your body is equipped to do, right? We all have some form of defect in our body that we cannot control. That's how we were born, right? If we when we do have an incident, the medical doctor discover it, then it can help us. But a lot of these things we do not control. We have the body that we have, and the likelihood of it failing is 1 out of 10. Now, the other things that I feel like that's also is against us is that sense of happiness because of society, and that's more for society, right? The constant attacking your sense of happiness. And we know so much about sense of happiness leading to our well-being, our health, not just physically, but our health socially, our health with our family. And a lot of it, honestly, is not controlled by us. Our happiness is controlled by our body. So you could try a lot of things that people, no matter how hard they try, they cannot have this sense of well-being that we all so much value, right? This sense of happiness. It is like, on a treadmill, right? Society tell us to value it and chase it, but as I go further in my presentation, I'm gonna try to walk you away from that goal of being happy because a lot of time it leads more to a sense of misery than actual well-being. All right. So we start at the beginning, right? I show you this beautiful video of how you are this part of this massive project of existing, right? From the big to the small. And then I spent the last 3 to 5 minutes telling you how everything is against you, right? How the universe is trying to kill you, how just regular life, being a human being on this planet, is trying to get rid of you, and how your own body is attacking it, right? You might ask yourself, like, why are you telling me all this awful thing, Daniel? And I should have given everybody a warning at the beginning, saying that this material is a little hard to receive, but if you stick with me, there's something at the end that you're gonna value, right? So the first part of the presentation was to get to these three questions, right? As we struggle through life, we always come back to these three big questions, right? What is the point of all of this, right? If the universe is trying to kill me, why am I here, right? What is the point? Why should I care, right? Why should I care that I exist? Why should I care about anything else? Because clearly the universe don't want me here. The womb was trying to kill me, and my own body is falling apart, and my own happiness I can control. What's the point? And this is the next time of this presentation, I'm gonna try to answer these three questions for you, right? And the way I'm gonna try to do that is by helping you construct a new life philosophy. And this is my personal life philosophy. It has guided me since leaving Haiti, right? And I felt like if I share these ideas with you, they might help you a little bit. Okay, so this is gonna be the next part of the presentation. Now, if anybody have any question, they can stop me at any time, okay? Don't hesitate. If you have a question, raise your hand or say something, and I will stop. Now, with everything going on, with the universe trying to kill you, with planet falling apart in your own body, so how do I, as a person, make sense of all of these and create a meaningful life, right? That is the human project. How do I create a meaningful life so that I can motivate myself, no matter what's going on, to wake up every day and pursue this project of human existence? That's what the next slide of the presentation is gonna walk us through. Now, before we start that, right, I want to ground one simple idea in everybody's mind right now. If one thing you take away from this presentation is your own existence, the likelihood of you being here, right? The scientists have done the math, okay? This is not my own equation, this is somebody else's work, right? The likelihood of you being here in this time, in this space, in this corner of the universe, in this existence, with me, Annette, right, watching the presentation, is 0.00002%, right? So I wanted to put this fact out there so that you will know statistically, right? Your life is important, right? Because the likelihood of you being here is very small. So remove the idea from your head that you are not here for a reason, right? Because nature don't make mistake, right? Existence does not just happen for no reason, right? You being here has a value because the out of you being here is so crazy, right? It will take you playing the lottery 50 million times, right, for you to be here. So just if this is one fact you take away from this session, is that fact that you being here was meaningful. The universe felt it necessary for you to be here, and so you are here now. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I call my philosophy of life narrativism, right? And if you are a linguist, or if you're somebody that loves words, you can see that words has a root word to it, right? The root word to narrativism is narrative, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that your life is a story, right? And the way I grounded this philosophy is using human history, right? Everything we've learned from the School of Psychology and philosophy and everything, right? And all the beautiful stories from, from religion, right? From all these different religious texts from all over the world. I combine that into a short little narrative, i.e., a little philosophy of life. And that's the whole point of this presentation, to share this philosophy with you. Now, one of the core idea of that philosophy, right, is from Christianity. Now, you don't have to be a Christian to gain anything from this presentation, right? But what the philosophy of Christianity is trying to tell us, right? It's trying to ground the idea that your life is a sin. And many people confuse that word sin to mean like something bad, right? Like if your life is a sin, that means you're living your life wrongly, you're living your life, you're doing bad things and evil things. The way the word sin was understood in Christian history long, long, long time ago. The word sin was understood as you being separated from your your community, right? And that community was that sense of well-being, that sense of God, that sense of you believing in something good, right? And you becoming a better you and being closer to your community, to yourself, right? So going forward, when you hear the word sin, I don't want you to think of the word like of bad or evil, right? Think of sin as you being separated from yourself, separated from your community, and things that are good for you, right? So if you set that definition of sin as it was meant originally, this life philosophy will make a lot more sense, right? So from Christianity, I took these three definitions of what it means to live for, right? In Christian teaching, we live for God, right? But again, don't take the words exactly how it is understood in modern understanding, right? The word God meant as greater knowledge, right? Having understanding of what it means to be alive, right? Because God was meant as existence, right? So living for God was meant to be understood as living for existence, right? You are trying to understand why you are here, right? The next part of Christianity is living in faith, right? But again, the words as we understand them right now are now how they were meant when the Bible was written, right? The word faith was meant you having hope, right? And something good, something bigger than you, right? And the next portion of it, living like Christ. Again, the Bible had what Christ was understood and how we understand now in modern context is two different things. Because the Bible text, the history of the Bible, the figure Christ was actually supposed to be a narrative for the Israelites to reinvent themselves. It was to be a new interpretation of what Israel was supposed to be like, but manifested as a person. It's about the process of becoming a better you, understanding yourself, who you are, on how to live in relationship with yourself, with your community, with life. That's one aspect of this philosophy. The next aspect of this philosophy is borrowing from Greek philosophy, Stoicism. Stoicism is the idea like life is long, you can't control it, and what you can do is trying to live in the now, plan for the future. You can't worry about the past because you can't change the past. And only things you're gonna concern about is the thing you can actually have control over. If you can't control things, you don't worry about them. So from that philosophy, I took out the three main aspects of it. Stoicism is about living for humanity, right? If you're a Stoic, you believe in service, right? You believe in helping your neighbor, helping yourself, and doing things as a group, right? The next aspect of Stoicism is living for the future. Again, you cannot change the past. What you can worry about is the future and making it a better place. The next part of Stoicism, it's about the things you can control, the possibilities. Impossible things are beyond your control. So you don't worry about those things, right? You only worry about the here, the now, and what you can control. The next aspect of this philosophy is stealing from Buddhism. With Buddhism, the whole idea of Buddhism, right, is you it's about understanding. It's all these right way of seeing things, right way of doing things, and right way of understanding things, right? From that philosophy, I took out the main aspect, living for wisdom, living for compassion, and living for gratitude. And what that means, you as a person, your main duty is trying to know everything within your capacity, right? With the compassion, you're not just living for yourself, right? Right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Because there are people that are dependent on you. There are people that are watching. There are people that you depend on, right? And how you live matters to those people. That's the compassion aspect. Living in gratitude. Instead of worrying about what you don't have, appreciate what you have, right? Knowing that just existing is enough, right? You don't have to be, performing at your peak. This sense of gratitude for life, for living, for being here is crucial to Buddhism. Now, combining all of that, right? So I put all of that into one mode of being, narrativism, right? Seeing your life as a story, right? Appreciating that you're living in reality, right? All that matter is your perspective and your experience, right? And your expectation. All that we can learn to make sharper to understanding science, right? To understanding all the different fields of human technology and knowledge to help us understand reality better, right? The next aspect of that is morality, leaning into your morality, getting a better understanding of the compassion and what it means to be a human being living in fairness and justice, right? Appreciating your sense of religion, spirituality, your practice, your rituals. Those things matter to help you be a more aware, fulfilled human being in life. The next aspect of this philosophy, right, is living for humanity. That's we'll follow more during the question and answer. What does that look like? What does that mean? Pretty much, it could be summarized. Living for humanity is to kind of get away from the mindset like existence is about you, but it's about participating in humanity, loving, loving your neighbor, loving your friends, loving the people, and not just by saying it, but doing it in whatever that look like, right? In whatever capacity. So to summarize, it's about living in reality as far as your perspective, your expectation, right? And how you can build that around learning and reading and studying science, right? Leaning into the sense of morality, right? And how to just be a better person, right? Practicing your rituals and your virtues, whatever that looks like for you, right? Leaning into that. But also having a sense of humanity that You don't just exist for yourself. You are part of a community, and your service matter, right? And all of that goes toward you creating this life story that will later on, the next few slides, we'll talk about that. Later on, help you create a meaningful life and a purposeful life. All right. More on what that look like in actual practice, right? This is the core aspect of this life philosophy, right? Accepting the fact like your life is a story, right? Make it memorable. And it's still like, don't worry about the past. The past already happened. You cannot change the past, right? Your notion of the past is not even real. It's a memory, right? And that memory, as soon as you let go of it, it will stop being, it will stop having the power that you're giving it right now, right? And your focus should be on the now and tomorrow. The next aspect is realizing like you are on borrowed time, right? And every day is a gift. It may not feel like this if you're living in pain, if you're living in agony. The fact that you're living it might feel like a terrible thing, but again, without you living, without that life, there will not be that hope, that promise of that better life. So that come with the package, right? Life, this life gift, but it's a double-edged sword. The next aspect of it, right? This is the part I feel like a lot of us miss as far as what does that life look like, right? This is the last paragraph. That this life is a collection of stories, right? These stories, that's what we're gonna carry days from now when we are at deathbed, right? What we look back upon, these fragile stories, this broken memory, it's all these stories that we put together, right? To give us that sense of life. That is the narrative. This is what I mean when I say life is a story, right? When later on in life, 100 years from now or 50 years from now, if we get to live to be in our old age, right? When we look back, this is the collection of stories that we are looking back on, and we trying to make sense of. Now, I have one more slide, and we can open for question and answers, right? In summary, right? This is what this whole process was about: is realizing that you are the winner of a cosmic lottery, right? Again, the odds of you being here is 0.00002%, right? Realizing that, to me, that when I stumbled upon that fact, it gave me this sense of purpose like nothing else, right? Realizing like no matter what people tell you, the fact you are here, all right, it's amazing. Okay, you already won. Just the just accept that fact, right? And that every day you're alive, right, is an opportunity to do better, right? Is an opportunity to make the day better, right? Every day, having that sense like every day is a gift because tomorrow is not promised to us, right? Once you accept these two basic ideas, right? That you are the cosmic winner of this lottery, right? And that every day is an opportunity to do better. It's gonna give you a sense of purpose to not waste it, right? That knowing that your purpose here is to exist, to put it plainly, right? It's not this other grandiose goal society trying to tell us. Just the fact you are here, that is the purpose, to exist, to just live. All right. So this is the big summary of everything. So instead of asking those other questions I kept saying, right? What's the point of all of this? Why am I here? Why should I care? This is the answers I feel like we all should be asking ourselves, right? Not what's the point of all of this, but how do I want to be remembered, right? That's this question, right? You as a person, as an adult, right? How do you want to be remembered? And start crafting that story for yourself, right? Because the way we are remembered, that's what will give our life meaning, right? It's not in the now, it's in the after, right? How do you want to be remembered? That will be what give meaning to your life, right? And the way you do that, again, is by answering that next question, right? How do you want to impact society, humanity, right? What do you want that footprint to be so that when you transition, what is the one thing you want to left behind where people say, hey, so and so, man, that person was a great friend. That person was a great spouse. That person was a great whatever, right? Lead on to that to have that meaningful impact. In the end, this is how we answer that big question, right? Instead of saying what's the meaning of life, the question should be framed: what will be the meaning of your life, right? Because the meaning of your life is not for you to define, because you cannot define the meaning of your life. It's the people that's going to remember you. When they think back of you, how would they remember you? Fondly, right? Or hurtfully? And if they remember your life fondly, then yes, that life was great. If they remember that life hurtfully, then sadly, that life was not great, right? So instead of asking, what's the point of all of this? Why am I here? Why should I care? I feel like everybody should be asking those three questions about their life. How do I want to be remembered? How do I have an impact on humanity? And what would my life mean after I'm gone? Any question?